What is time? One moment leading to another moment, leading to another moment on which we put the label time. If you talk about the definition of time, time is this moment leading to the next moment, leading to the next moment, leading to the next moment. And all those moments, then we put a label, seconds, minutes, hours. Does time exist? Yes, it does. Because we have a relationship with each other where we say, I'll see you at 7:30. So time must exist. It's not that time doesn't exist, but time is relative. You know, it's 9:45 here in Spain. In Maria's home, it's not 9:45. So time is relative to the globe, the sun. You know, there's many factors that make it a relationship. It's not an absolute. It's not that it is 9:45 in every part of the world, and so time is being experienced in exactly the same way. It's not like that. In America, it's, I think, dark, right? So it's evening or night, and people are going to bed. And so time is something relative in that one moment leads to the next moment, leads to the next moment, and we put a label on all these moments, minutes, hours, and this is a conventional truth. What we call a conventional truth. According to convention, we understand it. According to convention, you know, this is a cup, right? If I call it a television, you should worry. How do I know this is true or not? You know, Buddha talked about conventional truth. So he said, yes, you know, it's not real, but a petal of a flower, a singing bowl, a bottle of water. These are conventions. And so when you look for conventions, you're saying, is the basis conventionally able to be labeled in a particular way? So for instance, plastic bottle, is this able to be labeled in a particular way? Water bottle, plastic bottle, does it have the basis to be able to do that? So we can say, yes, it does. Because it's plastic, it contains water, it's got a top, etc. It has that ability to be labeled plastic bottle. So this is not a cup. So when we're talking about, do things really exist? On a conventional level, yes, they do. You exist, it exists, they exist. So in this way, you're not eradicating everything and saying nothing exists. Otherwise, then we go into a sort of fantasy land, isn't it? Alice in Wonderland, and what does really exist? You start to worry. Because we need that feeling of convention. Should we put effort in to get result? Should we work, you know, to make money? Does money really exist? This sort of thinking, it's like if you don't have conventional truth, you start to think nothing exists. But on a conventional level, you have a business, you have employees, you have to pay wages, they have to make money, that all exists. But then the ultimate truth, the absolute truth, the ultimate truth is, you say this water bottle exists, but does it exist from its own side, inherently, without any causes and conditions? Does this water bottle exist by itself? Virtually, did you see The Gods Must Be Crazy? This African guy, where the Coca-Cola bottle, you have to see it. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. Because it falls down from the sky and he thinks it's a gift from the gods. So the Coca-Cola bottle that was thrown out of an aeroplane, it's a pilot, you know, flying a little plane, drinking Coca-Cola, and he drops the bottle out of the plane. And it falls down in front of this African tribesman, and he, you know, it's like, the gods have given me a gift, right? What do I do with it? I must give it back to the gods. And so he thinks I must go to the ends of the earth to give back this bottle to the gods. So if this bottle was inherently existent, it's like it dropped down from the sky, no causes and conditions, it exists by itself alone. Is it true? So take it to the extreme like that. Is it true? And then you think, well, of course not. It's manufactured. So in order to be manufactured, what do you need? A factory, people, raw product, a top, a label, water to put inside. Many, many parts go together in order to make this bottle of water. Many parts. Okay? So when we talk about water bottle, we usually have an idea of something complete. The water bottle with the water inside. But we don't necessarily analyze it. Fernando was saying this morning, we relate to many sentient beings. Right? We should try and relate to all sentient beings. But we have a relationship with many sentient beings. When we use water, do we think of the number of sentient beings that produced the water? Do we think about it? We just think, money, I buy it. But say the people in the factory said, I don't want to do this job anymore. You know, I'm sick of this boss shouting at me. I'm leaving. And they all say, we're all leaving. So there's no water bottle factory anymore. There's no water anymore. And so you go to the shop and share one bottle of water and they say, no water. Why? Don't know, this factory just finished. So when we're drinking water, we don't think of the history, all the people involved in the making of this. Thank you very much. You know, how grateful I am that you put all this effort into making this for me. There's the action. You know, somebody visualized it. Water bottle, water. Somebody visualized it with a good motivation. I want to provide water for others. And then it had to be put into action. What do? Well, we have to manufacture a plant. We have to build a plant. We need people. How many people are we going to need? Where do we get the water from? What do we need to do to the water in order for it to be safe? This is all convention. But does it really exist in the way we think, like it just dropped down from the gods? No. Is it manufactured? Is it put together by many people and somebody's idea? Yes. So then, when you look for something existing by itself without a relationship, you can't find it. It has a relationship to many other beings. This room, this place, has a relationship with the guy who originally thought about it, and he thought, now what sort of room should this be? What sort of view? What should you see outside? He thought about it a lot in order to make this place. How many bricks are here? How much cement? How much iron? You know? So this building didn't just appear. Because of causes and conditions, it came together. And then we just use the building as if it's always been here. But one thing is, this building is constantly changing. It's not permanent. It's impermanent and changing. Because come back in 50 years, this building will not look like this. It's probably maybe fallen down, they've rebuilt it, whatever. But it's impermanent. And so what I think we need to do is develop a feeling that there are so many beings involved in our life that have given benefits to us. What should we do back? What should we give back? You know? So they're all giving to us in the sense of electricity, water, roads. We just think, I pay taxes. But say those people say, I don't want to work on the roads anymore. This is a horrible job. My boss keeps shouting at me. I'm not doing this anymore. And they go on strike. They leave. Then the power people say, I'm not happy about this. Switch off the power. The water people say, you know, enough is enough. There's no power, there's no roads. We're also going on strike. So say all the people started leaving their jobs because they're not happy. Well, what would be the effect on us? On all the services that we receive, but we don't even think about it. It's not even on our minds. Maria, she's a very good example. Maria goes down to the dining room to have a cup of coffee. Where does the coffee come from? It wasn't grown in Spain, right? It comes from a long way. So the people in the fields, in the hot fields have to pick the beans and roast it, and it has to be made into coffee. Somebody has to put it into a jar. It has to be exported, brought into Spain. I think it's inconceivable how many people are involved in our lives. We never think about it, right? So I think once you start getting that feeling of interconnection, I move a little bit. Also, it moves other people a little bit. You know? There's a scientific experiment done with the Japanese many years ago. On one island, there were a group of monkeys. On another island, another group of monkeys. So this is in an area, you know, off Japan, where there's these many small islands. And they taught the monkeys to put the sweet potato that was growing on the island into a hot pool. So there was one of these thermal pools. They taught the monkeys to put the sweet potato into the hot pool and then peel it, right, to see what they could teach the monkey. But also they were watching monkeys on another island to see if it had any effect. The monkeys on another island had never boiled the sweet potato, had never peeled it. Within a short time of these monkeys being taught, monkeys on another island were putting the sweet potato into the hot water and peeling it. And the scientists couldn't understand how this could happen. The monkeys weren't going to the other island. It was like 50 kilometers away. They couldn't communicate, but in some way, something that they learned was passed on. So they say this is like ripples of positive energy, you know, going out, that you get one person changing and it ripples out to many others. It's not that it goes one by one by one. And I think part of this is appreciating where you come from, your situation, you know? So we talked yesterday about having a job, family, and all the rest of it, but now we're talking about broadening this feeling. What about we started considering the roads? We started considering the water, the buildings, etc. You start to get this feeling of an inconceivable number of people involved in your life. Inconceivable, right? Because also it goes into the past. It's not just the roads now. The roads were made in the past. The railways were made in the past and then maintained until now. So if you keep calculating how many people, how many people, how many people, I think in the end you can't count. First of all, you have to get this feeling of connection, connectivity with others, right? So also we could talk about the mobile phone network. We feel that we're connected with others through the mobile phone network, but what does that require? Satellites, technology. Who did all of this? I mean, my generation, we didn't have mobile phones. We had, you know, and it wasn't, excuse me, the black one where you dial the operator. I'm not that old. But, you know, we had phones, right? And then I can remember the first computers coming, because I bought the first computer from Dick Smith in Australia, and it was 32 Ks. You could type one sentence. I think it cost $1,000, you know? So you type one sentence, and it came on the screen. That was all you could do. So I took it back. You know, what's the point in this? It's a computer, right? So just the word, people wanted to buy the word, right? So I can remember that. And then those simple computers became more and more complicated until where we are now, we have a small computer that provides incredible functions. But whose idea is it? The mobile phone network, whose idea is it? It's an incredible idea, because you used to get stuck out in the country somewhere, you had to find a phone, you know? And often people didn't have phones. So now we've got this global connectivity through the mobile phone network, through computers, through Skype, you know, many different ways. This all relies on somebody creating it in their mind and then putting it into action. And then what it gives us is the benefits. But we may not think benefit. We may think, but they get paid for it. Right? But money isn't the only way that people receive reward. Many people get their reward from the creativity itself. They're not so interested in the money. They want to create something. So now, in order for us to create the appropriate feeling back, thank you very much, everybody, for what you've done. In order for us to create that connection and that correct feeling, we're grateful for what you've done, not you should have done it. Do you understand the feeling between the two? You should have made the roads because you got pay. You should have put the water in the bottle because you got paid for it. That's one attitude. And the other is, I'm extremely grateful that you did it. So looking at your world from the sense of gratefulness, gratitude. Not from the sense of, you should do it because you're paid, or why don't I have it? It's not fair.